Zenlesszonezero, the latest lineup in Hoyo vs many successful gacha game franchises. My goodness, at this point I've played 4 of their games by now and have spent a considerable amount of time on Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rail. Adding another one wouldn't be problematic now, would it? Naturally, I would appreciate it if you watch the whole thing. I'm Zombie Mana on a journey to play as many gacha games as possible to find whether or not did I enjoy it at all. I'll simply state what I find enjoyable regarding its stories, characters, music, visuals, and gameplay. Before the game's release, I actually had no clue Zenless was in the works, despite me playing Hoyo games at the time. It sort of came out of nowhere in my point of view. Initially, on first glance, it simply looked like Honkai Impact 3rd in an urban setting, so it didn't really pique my interest. Earlier test footage wasn't helping as the game still looked rough, up until I saw a glimpse of this fancy looking housekeeper group, especially whoever that adorable green-haired chainsaw wielding maid is. I'm now fully locked in. On the plus side, nearing the game's release, the trailer started looking polished, making the game seem enjoyable. In the past, there's nothing exciting about this date. But now, the 4th of July 2024 is the official release of Zenlesszonezero. Dude, it is so refreshing. The game didn't start with the typical tropes. No silent protagonist, no amnesia, no isekai, and later on, you learn the second choice protagonist is relevant and involved in the story a lot. I'll get more into the story later. Firstly, combat gameplay. The gameplay is fine on mouse and keyboard, even casually on mobile runs well. However, I wanted to get used to controller gaming immediately as a fast-paced game controls better with one. I very much admire that the control layout can be freely customized, as I'm not comfortable with the default settings and no joke, my controller is missing the right bumper. I can still press it, but I have to stick my finger in it, which is hard to do during gameplay, so I need to change the controls. This game feels so buttery smooth for feeling combat. While it's only just been a few minutes, I could tell further into the game is going to be hella entertaining. It's not doing anything innovative, an action role-playing game, basic skill and ultimate attacks in combination with a dodge and chain attack where you switch to one of 3 units that can be deployed in each mission. Each units would have different roles in combat along with their respective elemental type. The act of switching characters during combat is highly euphoric. The sound design for every successful hit is so gratifying to listen to. Reading it out loud sounds generic, the overall gameplay. However, I cannot deny it feels way too satisfying applying all those mechanics until the game decides to throw in enemies that wants you dead. I'd say the first time I felt pain was against the Ballet twins. I've heard back then early reviewers say it's too easy, some say it's too difficult. I'd say their opinions doesn't matter. They're early reviewers, people. Listen here. This is coming from someone who's been reviewing the game for a year at this point. Please, if you're starting Zenlesszonezero, play until you unlock everything. Further into the game, it can get pretty hectic pretty fast to the point where you could barely even see your screen. Whether you like stunning the enemies multiple times or anomaly gaming, mixing elements to deal big damage, your playstyle does change a lot despite the simple inputs. Depending on the units you use, it never gets stale. You know, gameplay is nice and all, but it would be nothing without being able to immerse in this world. It's quite a delight that graphically looks wildly different to the usual Hoyoverse game visuals. Most of the models has more depth and texture on them. I'm not too surprised that they managed to have more details in each area, as this game is not an open world exploration game, nor is it a linear map design like Star Rail. For ZZZ, it is more instance-based. One where combat usually occurs are called halos, where incomprehensible map layout is excused, and the other are safe zones, normally in New Eridu, the city areas, so they can get away by placing more assets to make the world vibrant. And vibrant is the perfect description. There is a slight soft filter tone for the game. It balances by having high contrasting world design. There is plenty of bizarre yet interesting things to look at, providing a unique style to Zenless. I believe this may be the first time I played a gacha game set in a familiar time period. The mostly urban setting is more relatable since, you know, we live in the same era. Like, medieval fantasy and sci-fi is fascinating as well. but you can't really fully grasp being part of those worlds unlike ZZZ. Come on, I'm an early 2000s kid. CRTs, CDs, music players, old school arcades, and modified vehicles were more common. I can't help but relate to most of what Zenless theme has to offer. It's not entirely retro, it's more so a blend of old modern together, which makes things feel more grounded, as let's be real, there are people who crave the retro aesthetics, and I guess I'm one of them. These aspects are coupled with the game's outstanding music. Let's just stick to in-game music for now, cause promotional music is a whole discussion on its own. Yes, even the Bernice song. I may have praised other gachas music before, but genuinely, not gonna beat around the bush, it's just straight up the best soundtrack ever. I'm playing a few of them right now for the video so you can hear for yourself. I wanna say it fits into many situations, vibing in my day-to-day life outside of the game. Of course, the tracks are varied for combat, exploration, and storytelling. It's addicting to listen to, and very quickly becomes nostalgic, especially the 6th Street soundtrack. As well, the ecstasy I felt from hearing Yanagi's track that brought me back to my childhood games. Doesn't even stick to a singular genre. It can go fancy or completely metal, which all of them are still bangers. Also, oh my goodness, I don't want to ruin it for anyone, so I won't play it. The songs that have vocals, usually played during a climax in the story, is just become top notch at that point. That leads me to the next topic, the story along with the characters involved. As I previously mentioned, the story's introduction doesn't go through the now typical tropes we're used to in gacha gaming. It's so nice! We followed the journey of two siblings, Weiss and Belle. Both of them are your MC of choice, and both of them have their own personality instead of carbon copies of each other. Hi, I'm a fellow Weiss enjoyer, by the way. What's great is, even though I chose Weiss, Belle is still heavily involved in most of the story. Still plays an important role as second assistant, as well as providing sibling dynamics to us. They convey the story in a visual novel format mainly, which I find adorable, the various animated poses they do. And while most of the story section flies by so fast in my opinion, it's the right length of time. They don't dilly-dally for too long. If they include extra dialogue, it's worth listening since they add character building, which can lead to either silly banter or intense conflict. There's no need to be said, as I'm sure you've heard by now regarding the exceptionally expressive animation is one of Zenless' forte. Ah, they even have manga-style scenes. That's a nice characteristic unique to the game. Haven't seen a gacha game that does this before. Zenless describes itself as a post-apocalyptic world. That's not entirely true. Think of it like this. Those big bubble things are called halos. They are a strange phenomenon that has engulfed the old capital. Halos are dangerous areas and acts like a pocket dimension separating the outside world when entering. The outside of a halo is completely fine. Inside it is where the game's post-apocalyptic title comes from, where most of whatever's left inside is destroyed or corrupted. Reason for its danger is due to the fact that whether it be organic or non-organic is subjected to corruption, turning into horrid monsters known as ethereals, where as of now has no cure against them. Wait, I've seen this kind of corruption story before, and they've so far haven't let me down, so why not another? We play as video rental store owner and part-time illegal proxies, helping agents safely navigate through the halos for investigative purposes or most cases, monetary reasons. It's unbelievable that reviewers disregard the story too early. While it's true version 1 of the game hasn't fully provided us with the reasonings for the siblings' journey, as the first plot more so assisting other agents' cases. I am very entertained from the beginning, and further into it as we uncover its comfy yet also dark storytelling. Humorous with not too much brain-rotting forced comedy.
Wow, that rat tyrant girl sure has that riz. Let her cook, Wise.
Most likely, it'll be Eos who saves the day.
Bruh.
As well as perhaps the only game that's able to bring me to tears constantly. That's the highest praise I could possibly give. Seriously, you'd be shocked by the series of topic in some of the stories. Not only from the main mission, they get far more blatant than subtle in showing grotesqueness to traumatic experiences. This isn't a start from zero to hero type of story. We are already a fairly successful well-known proxies called Phaethon, and have already built connection with some of the playable characters. Those characters come in the form of factions. Ooh, I'm excited! We're gonna talk about a gacha game's main selling points. Unfortunately, I gotta keep things short. As of right now, none of the protagonists are combatants, rather we deploy others into the battlefield. You can see there are many factions now. I love that they wear similar uniforms. It gives a sense of unity, making me want to assemble them all. Being part of the game since day one is rather fascinating, witnessing the growth of each characters. Sukaku was this random playable blue Oni before the rest of the HSO faction release. Piper and Lucy were the few showcasing the outer ring does exist, which is basically the wasteland outside of the city. We had almost nothing regarding Soldier 11's background until recently. I don't often say this lightly, I actually like everyone. There hasn't been one I dislike. Like other games, I'll admit I hate certain characters. For ZZZ, they are all quite good. Hence why I've built all of them apart from the ones I don't own. Damn it, can I have Lycon already? Bloody hell! Not only their appearance has a variety of body types than simply having body type A and B for example, they can go far off the norm by having full animalistic traits, which in world are called tyrants, along with intelligent constructs like Billy right here. Let's get this out of the way. Some of you may be curious, who are my favorites? Not really? Fine, caught. I just wanna express my love to them. Well, keep a minimum of 3. Lighter from Sons of Caledon. Dude is just so cool without even trying, and he actually lives up to his undefeated champion title. Getting to know him, you'll learn he's one of the boys in a group of mostly girls. Evelyn Chevalier. I'll say it with no shame, she's really hot. And actually very adorable when witnessing her vulnerable side. I got Astra Yao for Evelyn cause it doesn't feel right without those duo together. Finally, Corin Wicks, the reason why I played this game to begin with. I normally hate these kinds of personalities, but for Corin it really works cause through her mess up, she still tries to do her best and loves being appreciated that I often die of cuteness every damn time she's happy. I will not accept any Corin Wicks slander. She is considered weak in most tier lists. It's only because they didn't build her properly. I'm able to decimate using her, so I'm not having any shit talk, alright? Even other A ranks could completely outshine some S ranks. You know, I'm glad Soldier 0 NB, the S rank version of A rank NB exists, because that means there's a possibility of alternate S rank Corin Wicks. Mark my words, I will be there when it happens. I had the original goal of getting everyone from Victoria housekeeping. I can't lie, I like maids and butler aesthetics, but again, Lycon refuses to join me. My OP units would be Miyabi and Evelyn in terms of main DPS, yet I still find any excuse to utilize the others. They are genuinely fun to play. Here's a quick fire of my honorable mentions. I'm sure I'll fall in love with those that I haven't spent time with, as you can get more acquainted with them through hangout events, respective story quests, and quality time, which is essentially going on a date. This used to not be around, by the way, is a great addition to learn more about your characters. In fact, a lot of features weren't present before. Version 1.0 of Zenless isn't the same game anymore, as we are now in version 1.7. I remember it's perhaps around version 1.2 where things start to drastically change. For the better, I would say. Quality of life, new features, some changes, and permanent contents. Very important updates like cats and dogs now walks around the city. Also, don't get fooled by the beautiful facade of the character building screen. It's actually the now common system most gacha uses. Not necessarily a bad thing, just want to point out what we're used to. You may think, oh no, artifact grinding hell again? I find that it's not as hellish. Sure, you could farm the gear sets called disc drives, which is epic that they are discs, I wanna say, directly from routine cleanup, though through the combination of Bardic Needles tuning and Halo Zero, where they provide alternatives in obtaining the sets easily. I imagine meta slaves are still stuck grinding. For me at least, I don't do it often. While these are not tedious to farm, bloody hell, getting materials to level up takes a ton of time. At the very least, you know sometimes gacha have weeklies that also use your energy. Zenless doesn't when you do them, which luckily it's so damn fun to play, therefore I'm never bored every week. Hollow Zero is similar to Star Rail's simulated universe. The game mode is basically another roguelike dungeon. Man, I love fighting. I control the buttons I press. Fuck autoplay games, bro. This is what I want to do when I'm clocking in to get the highest score. It's rewarding after completing them. Notorious Han, Shiyu Defense, Deadly Assault, Battle Tower are game modes with more combat, more resources, more suffering, and more ecstasy. The combat is highly addicting. Just provide me with action with an entertaining concept and I'm yours. Some of you may notice I neglected to mention the TV mode gameplay. It used to be more prevalent, but recently it pretty much dwindled out. I, for one, didn't mind TV mode, although some missions involving it are garbage. It can take away the focus of main story missions. I would like them to keep it exclusive to side missions or integrate it better. I'm nearly done, bear with me now. What else can I talk about? Cause I really want to get my feelings across in a singular video. The enemies! Initially, the ideas of ethereals, the forefront threat of New Eridu, are bizarre as we haven't had an understanding of their existence. Once their biology and how they behave was explained, they're quite wicked. Acts like zombies with a hive mind mentality when an alpha is present displaying intelligence, only being able to live inside of a hollow. Appearance-wise can come in many forms, humanoid and animal-like. Despite that, it's easy to identify an ethereal, as all of them have similar traits in their designs. I'll cover just ethereals. The rest are thugs, mechs, rebel soldiers, corrupted, which are organic or inorganic things that can turn into ethereals. Of course, there are special enemies you encounter, however, I'ma let you discover that yourself, in case you haven't got a chance to. As you can imagine, the enemy's attack pattern ranges with tons of variety. They are challenging yet beatable, with maximum effort. In other words, knowing your enemy's weakness resistance and exploiting their behavior, you can annihilate them with any units. In other words, it's the get good tactic. Okay, next some extra details that helped with world building. Throughout the whole video, I made use of this video archive feature. I appreciate them adding this. Not only can I replay previous scene, so I don't have to record any of them without disrupting my first experience, it also serves a way to reminisce of the good times. Even the story missions are replayable, not fully though, unfortunately, as the in-world interactions are excluded. By the way guys, you should pay attention to certain missions as sometimes the developers add interactable dialogues. Like during the Astronomical Moment special episode, discovered Evelyn wants her coffee giga strong. Or out of sight agent stories, we learn a bit of the proxy's situation moving into 6th Street for the first time. I even learned a lot about Jane Doe's personality and background from it. But as I said, in-world interactions aren't replayable. Therefore, I don't have specific footage of it. Alright, sorry, let's wrap things up. Did I enjoy Zenless Zone Zero? Isn't it bloody obvious by now? I've been praising the shit out of this game, not even being subtle about it. Yes, I enjoy this game. There are dozens of things I wanted to mention, however it's so minuscule, I'll breeze through them. Consistent beautiful art with varying art style, in-game social media, newspaper is great for understanding the world's current situation, along with the lore significance as you progress. Workbench is to learn more regarding anything you discover in your journey. Side mission or interactable in areas provide you necessary awareness on how the people live their lives in this universe. And my personal favorite, photography. It's easy to access the camera to a click of a button. My photo gallery is bloated. I didn't think I would have such joy taking pretty images so often. All these aspects tie together neatly as it gives a sense of attachment, making me, the player, care about the world's conflict. Added bonus, I like the time period and overall aesthetic they are going for. The daily missions is quite immersive. Open up the random play store, do scratch card tickets from the newsstand, and drink coffee. That's all you have to do for the 60 polychrome, the currency for your gacha pulls. Pretty good for you not enough time to play people. I love being in New Eridu, especially when areas have a purpose. 6th Street, after a while, feels like home as we always return here, and many events events often start here. Lumina Square and the outposts are also frequently visited. One minor complaint is it would be nice for the less visited places to have a permanent purpose to go there. The NPCs are uniquely designed, pleasing to look at and chat with. I've spent time with these NPCs so often I remember a lot of them, which I usually never do. Your playable characters can appear for you to interact with as well. It makes us acknowledge that they coexist with us instead of fucking off who knows where until the next plot point. Everything I talk about is small yet impactfully big details cause my goodness, it's such a living, breathing world I would gladly log in every day to simply hang out in. I have a confession. When I play the game day 1, 3 days later I spend money on it immediately. Please don't be disappointed, it's only the Battle Pass and membership. I full-heartedly trusted Zenless' success back then. Believe me, I don't often open up my wallet casually. Grinding is such a pain, I wanted a boost for early resources. Oh yeah, a few months later in December too, bought the same things, mostly for Evelyn. So, to finish up, I probably missed a few things or didn't bother to include. Clearly, there is plenty to do, therefore I'll leave it to you if you decide to play it out of the blue. If we talk about my gacha history so far, I managed to achieve everyone I wanted surprisingly. You can see the units I currently have here. Lycon is still missing. No weapons pulled, some bamboo pulls. Bamboos are cute robotic assistant in both combat and civil duties. I failed to mention that, sorry. I'll sometimes share my pulls, not going to do it here as I've already taken a lot of time. I should address this while I was still producing this video. Zenless has undergone yet another evolution. Version 2, Season 2, the first anniversary of ZZZ. So you'll clearly see the sudden differences from earlier scenes. There's no need for me to revise the previous statements. My opinions remains the same. Never would have thought I'd be piloting a mecha as a bamboo in this game. Nor do I expect to relive my embarrassing experience of messing up my dialogue on a movie date. This game isn't perfect by any means. There are a few elements I dislike, such as this new map UI on screen, which I find intrusive. Plenty of other things too, however, the amount of good provided every update outweighs the bad. So it's really not bothersome overall. Even the small tweaks, like I have been hoping for seamless controller to keyboard transition. It's beautiful. Oh, wish I could talk more about Season 2, but I may need double the time glazing this game. So let's keep it contained to Season 1. At least I thought it'd be fun to mention that I declared Lighter as my Agent of the Year. Truly deserved. He is handsome, strong, useful, and handsome. Look, they only gave me 3 options, alright? It would have instantly gone to Corin Wicks given the choice. We've actually able to make it to the end, huh? Some final words. Zenless Zone Zero has blown far past my expectation. Going from completely uninterested when I was made aware of it, to I would comfortably say, my top favorite gacha game, next to Arknights. Unlike the other random-ass gacha game I've tried out till now, there hasn't been a part of me feeling burnt out from the Zenless Zone Zero grind. Judging by the current trajectory they are heading, I'm looking forward to going through with it till the end. Anywho, like and subscribe, comment as well your thoughts. What gacha games would you recommend me checking out? There are gacha games that has piqued my interest, but who knows whenever I'm gonna make a video about it. I'm gonna disappear now. Bye! The choice is obvious, isn't it? Yes.
May you forgive.
Thank you, Zenless Zone Zero first anniversary. It took a whole damn year to get you, Von Lycon. And with that, I have all the standard S ranks.